The Hammer, the ambitious city, Steel Town. Over a century of industrial steel manufacturing made Hamilton into the city that it is today, but in the past decade, that city has been changing. Stelco and DeFasco aren't the economic powerhouses they used to be, and around the city, you're bound to hear the phrase, "Art is the new steel." In the early 1900s, the cotton factory was a textile mill and part of Hamilton's booming industrial sector. The cotton factory has been converted into artist studios and offices. Robert Ziedler is the owner.
Hamilton art scene's at a very interesting point. I mean, it's growing, it's expanding, it's now become a destination. I mean, I remember talking to Craig Wells, who's one of the artists in the building, when he graduated from the arts program in Mac in the 70s. The question wasn't, are you going to leave Hamilton? The question is, where are you going? Like, nobody was staying. Like, it was all, if you're going to stay in the arts, seriously, you had to get out, you had to leave. There was just nothing going on here. While right now, there are a lot of young people coming out of the arts program who are staying in Hamilton because there is a lot growing here.
In the late 2000s, there was a shift. Artists who had left Hamilton to pursue their craft, like gallery owner Paul Elliott, began seeing the city in a whole new light.
This is where I grew up, and I knew that the prices were way more affordable than Toronto. So we made the decision to move here, and I was thinking that because it would be cheaper to live here, that maybe I would have the opportunity to make art and try and make a go of it as a living.
But the affordability that led artists like Paul back to the city is quickly evaporating.
Usually the artists are moving to whatever part of the city is still affordable, and then everyone kind of follows the artist there, and then it becomes not affordable, and then the artist moves to the next affordable place.
Annette Paymont is a programmer at the Cotton Factory and knows that affordability is extremely important to keeping Hamilton's art scene alive.
Artists need not only affordable housing, but they need a workspace also. If you think about this building and the different kinds of artists we have here, every artist requires a different kind of a space. So being able to access that kind of an environment and being able to afford to access that kind of environment, and then the materials to do your work, are all super important factors, right?
Some Hamilton artists have had to get creative with their workspaces. Mary Flynn opened the Back Alley Gallery in 2019, entirely in her own backyard.
I moved here 9.5 years ago, and it was a garage and just basically a dumping ground for everyone. Then I converted it.
Mary's artwork is connected to Hamilton's history through her artist father. This is a portrait Mary's father made out of folded foil.
My father did everything. He drew, he painted, he did sign painting, he did crafty things, he made things out of wood, he made purses, so it was just always there. It's an outlet for my creativity and my emotions and my feelings, and I just feel like it's something you just have to do. Once you get started, it's something that you get an idea and you're like, oh, I've got to try that out. And it evolves. It's never quite on paper what it is in my head, because then it just changes and grows. But I feel like I have to express myself through my art.
Whether or not art is a profitable business isn't the reason why Mary or Paul create.
I create art because I'm compelled to. For some reason, I don't think I would feel myself, I don't think I would feel fulfilled if I didn't. So it's just always something that's been in me, this urge to do it. I think it's the easiest way I can express myself. It feels like it comes out right that way, because sometimes words can be tricky and it doesn't come out right, but with art, it always kind of does.
So what's next for art in Hamilton?
I think that, Hamilton is a big spot for immigration, which is fantastic, and it will get the flavor, just like in the food, we get the flavor from all over the world. I think that will continue to happen in Hamilton as art, as we get more and more immigrants, people from different countries. They'll bring their ideas and their own landscapes to Hamilton, and I think that's a great way for people to get an appreciation of Hamilton landscapes too. So, just to contrast and compare, You know, our waterfalls are some of the most beautiful in the world, but there's other beautiful waterfalls. So people come here and bring their ideas of their country. It allows us to appreciate our country more as well.
While the artists seemed to have an optimistic vision of art's future in Hamilton, Robert was a bit more cautious.
My concern about Hamilton is that the art scene is a bit like an orchid. You have to be very careful with it. It needs the right temperature and the right moisture and the right amount of sunlight and it has to be looked after. And it's not something that can be, you know, used and abused and thrown out on a winter's day and it'll be just fine, don't worry about it. And so what I worry about is, you know, if the city of Hamilton doesn't continue to focus on the art scene and forgets about it, it could, you know, you could see artists leaving for other places.
If art is the new steel, it too might fall by the wayside as the city moves forward onto something new.